Hey there, grab your coffee and let's talk business, how to grow it, how to sustain it, and how to harness the wonderful World Wide Web to do it. With me, your host, Jennifer Sikowski. Let's get started. Hello, Jennifer Sikowski with a brand new episode of Rainy Day Talks. And today, it's going to be a little bit different, so stick around. We're going to be talking about a topic that is a little heavy as a business owner, and it's very fresh for me, but I think it's very important as a business owner is that we address this. So what am I talking about? This is the first week that I have come back, the first day this week that I've come back to work, and it has been a really tough week. On Sunday, I lost my wonderful, beautiful 92-year-old grandmother. She was my only living grandmother at the time, and it was rough. It was very rough. She lives over 400 miles away. I was back and forth between the state of Indiana and Pittsburgh all week long with family and without family, and it was heavy. But the thing that happened is, as a business owner, if you don't show up in your work, you don't get paid. If it's just you have a very heavy load upon you. And yet you're having to deal with a very heavy issue. And the grief and the sadness, you have a lot of emotions and feelings that come up when you lose a loved one like that. And I just went through it and I thought, you know what? Let's talk about this. Because in my situation, I'm very thankful I have a team that was able to keep the fire burning while I stepped away. But in some cases, you may not know what to do, or maybe you haven't had to walk through that with your business. So let's talk about it. I have 5 points that I want to share today about handling when there's a loss or a tragic event in your business. And number 1 is the first thing. Once you get that phone call, whether it's someone's in the hospital, you've got someone who has gone on to be with Jesus, whatever it may be, the first thing I encourage you to do is take a minute. Because for me, the first thing that went through my mind was, oh my gosh, what am I going to do this week? I had all these things lined up. I had all these client meetings. I have deadlines to make, communications with the team. Like, I instantly went to business because Rainy Day Design is my baby. It's one of my babies, but it is my baby. And that's the first thing that I went to. And looking back, that was my priority. I needed to check myself. So I encourage you, take a moment. Work will be there. Clients will be there. And if they're not meant for you to work with. So take a moment. Feel the initial feels once that information has been given to you. And then number 2, if you have a team, let them know. Now, I struggle with this because not of sharing, but of oversharing. Within my group, I tend to try to keep it professional, but yet I tease, I joke around with them, and I do try to get to know them, but I try to keep a lot of my personal life, momhood, all of that jazz out of our Slack channel, out of our calls, just because I think, hey, I'm here to roll, and I expect them to leave the personal out. But the thing is that I treat these people like family. They are family. They're my Rainy Day Design family. And if you have a team, I encourage you to let them know immediately. Because if you do not let them know immediately, they may be waiting on input, feedback. Maybe that you guys are supposed to have a meeting and you're not in the headspace to have it. You have to let them know. So for us, we use Slack as our communications tool, and it is the bloodline that goes within our business that allows us to communicate. And that's the first thing I I did. I had to drop them a message to say, hey, this is what's going on. I don't know what this week is going to look like. Stay tuned. Until I got a plan. And that took off a little bit of that weight, knowing that I had people behind me. Now, if you don't have a team, I want you to roll right into point number 3. Point number 3 is to email your clients of your open projects. Or, because for our industry, it's a service-based industry. We're providing web design, social media services, content, whatever it may be. And we have a lot of open projects. We had a lot of new projects that were coming in this week. And that was my step number 3. I instantly sat down. Once I got to Indiana that night, I crafted up a quick email basically saying, this week, there will be a delay. And I kept emotion out of it. I was very matter of fact, but I was very open and stating, dear whoever, my apologies. This week I am having to, I think I said I clear my schedule due to I lost my grandmother. She went on to be with Jesus. I think I actually said that in my email, but we lost her on Sunday, and I'm not sure of the arrangements as of right now. And due to the circumstances, I am clearing my schedule. Please note that I will be picking back up next week. I will be in touch. And then if there was anything that the team I know was working on, I made sure to include that. And I closed with, thank you for your understanding. And guess what? Every one of them responded with either kind words or just acknowledgement that I understand. And that was the second weight that was lifted from me. Because I do tend to be a bit of a people pleaser. I enjoy serving our clients. I enjoy the people that we're working with. And I hate to let people down. Like, first of all, my expectations for me are way super high of what I should be accomplishing, even outside of reality. And that's a whole other episode. But for this, I don't want to let them down, especially for our new clients that are coming in. Man, I hit the ground running with them. And here we are. Not to mention that August is operations month for our team, that we're digging in and filling holes and fixing problems in our processes and systems. And I came in this week, had big plans, can't do it. And so that was awesome for me, is just be able to, because once I set that email off, I felt, I just sat down, took a huge breath, and just allowed that weight to be lifted, because I knew that I was upfront, I was honest, I was timely with them, and that's all I could do. So if you are thinking, well, I don't know if I could do that with my clients, or maybe it's a service, maybe you have a storefront, you may have to put up a sign, you may have to go to social media and post that there's been a loss within your business name family and expect the delays, whatever it may be, acknowledge it. Because people will respect that. And the ones that do not respect that or are anything but kind toward of your loss of a loved one, they are not ones for you. That allowed me to take a huge breather, not having to worry about work. And I know that's hard to do because, trust me, I eat, breathe, live, sleep, die, Rainy Day Design. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this business. And nobody knows better than I do about how hard you have to work to make something go and make it work for your family, whatever it may be. But you have to take some time for yourself, because if you're showing up and not completely in it, you're not present with your team and your clients and your projects, you're not giving them your best self. And let's face it, they need your best self. So I encourage you, once again, number 1, take a moment when you find out that news. Number 2, if you have a team, let them know. Be honest, be open. I don't know the plan, being completely transparent, but this is what I know. I'll let you know as soon as I know. Number 3 is email your clients. Email the ones that are either your VIPs, the one that you have open projects with, whoever it may be, but notify them. give yourself a break and just let that sit for a minute. And then number 4, take the time. Now, I was in Indiana when I set off that email. I left on Sunday night, drove out, got in late, grabbed some dinner, shot off some emails, checked in with the team. And then I thought, I'll have a few hours on Monday morning. I'll have a few hours here. I can just tap back in. I had no time. And I hadn't cried or anything until, Monday I was there. Monday night I drove back. Tuesday I dropped the kids off, was going to try to tap into work. And that's when all the emotions hit. And you know what? I was able to just go hide underneath the covers and let it out and allow myself to grieve and just to process. I was exhausted too. But if I hadn't done steps 1, 2, and 3, I wouldn't have been able to allow myself that moment. And I needed it. So I took it. So that's my encouragement to you. Take the time. Number 5 is after you're ready, you've taken the time, whatever that is for you, because I can't tell you how long you need to take. For me, in this situation, because Grandma, she was ready. And being this far away, I've been able to keep in touch with her. She was a strong woman of faith, but I know where she's at. And it was easier, I think, for me for this circumstance. Now, if it somebody else, I don't know. But for me, come yesterday, I had an off day. Once again, just took it, played with the kids, and just worked on getting my house in order and taking care of things that are offline, behind the scenes, for me to show up. Today, and by the way, today is my birthday, I stepped back in. And as soon as I could, the kids are taken care of. And here is where number 5 comes into play. It's strategically catching up. Now, it's easy to get in and be like, I got to catch up. I'm so far behind. La, la. I know, because I go there. But let's strategically catch up. And so the first thing for me to strategically catch up is to make a list. Now, y'all know me. I'm like the list queen of lists. I make list upon lists for items, for clients, for the team. It just helps me organize my train of thought. It helps me process the information. So the first thing that I did is that I prioritized my open projects / requests. So I took a glance at the support desk. I took a glance at some of the communications that's come in with the team, some of the posts that were in Slack, and just took a quick overview to prioritize those projects. Okay, so that was the first thing. Second thing, you cannot let your operations, your internal operations, suffer. It's very easy for us to jump in and do the work for your clients and push your own marketing, your own processes, your own communications to the side because we're so quick to please, so quick to meet the demands of the clients. Well, guess what? If you have a team, your team needs you. Or if it's you still have to push content out. You still have to show up whatever it is in your industry that you are doing. And for us, we haven't pushed any content out. We're going into the second week of August and we haven't had anything out. And these are the things that we were going to address this week and it didn't happen. So here we are. That's the first thing that I went to is, okay, what do we need to do? One is our social media. We have a podcast this week that went out. It hasn't been published or it hasn't been promoted. So I made a list for the RDD side. So I have my open projects, responses I need to get through, and what needs to be done in RDD. And I go by and I prioritize by if it's a client, if it's a VIP client, you got to handle them. You can't let that fall. You have brand new clients. Maybe it's proposals on the table. You lay it out and then you prioritize it based upon deadline. Maybe it's financially that you need to get an invoice off to get paid to cover your team's expense, cover your operation costs, whatever it may be. Then you prioritize your internal operations. And that's where like ours is social media, graphic design, so on and so forth. We got to knock them out, but I got to make a list first. So that way it helps me stay focused and it helps me stay organized. The next one and the last one under strategically catching up is do not overthink it. Don't overthink it. Because if you're like me, you get into this hole in this box, so you're almost paralyzed because you've got so much to do and there's so much stress and everything needs to be done yesterday. Just take a big breath and get to work. Because the quicker you get to work, the quicker you get to mark something off and something gets accomplished. And another point in this is do not get caught up too much into the communication side. Because it's easy to jump into email. I'm not looking at email. I haven't looked at email yet because I want to make sure that I have a plan that's been prioritized that I can hit the ground running. Because if I start over an email, the more you respond to emails, the more they come back. So I encourage you, don't get caught up in that. Or start communicating with your team just slowly, but don't jump in because then you're going to be tied into their requests and their needs. And God bless them, they need you. But as a leader and a manager in your business, you have to handle the overall projects, the overall scope of the work that you're doing. So before you jump in there, make sure you have a plan. And a last point that I'm going to leave you with is if you feel stuck, if you feel like whatever you're doing, it's just sucking the time away. Like I've been sitting here for 2 hours now and I haven't got anything accomplished. It's called Tomato Timer. A Pomodoro Timer is what it calls. If you Google PomodoroTimer.com, one will come up and it'll actually go off. It'll run in the background. Now the one online is a 25 minutes. So it's just a timer. And there's something about having that ticking away in the background that causes a sense of urgency because done is best. We don't need to be perfect at this point. Done is best. So by setting that timer, that keeps you moving because you're literally racing the clock. And a lot of times I'll do a double Pomodoro. So I'll set it for 50 minutes and then rock it out. As soon as that timer's done, I set it aside and get busy on the next one. So for me, that helps because that causes urgency because I work very well under pressure. That is just how, and that's how I've learned that I do work best at the last minute. I'm good in a crisis. So if I'm putting that pressure on by adding a timer, that's going to help me operate quickly and efficiently. And I get it done. I turn it. So those are a few nuggets that were on my heart that I just went through. Haven't had to go through this yet. And thought there's got to be another business owner out there that has no idea what to do if something happens. And those are my quick 5 points on how to tackle it and how to let yourself breathe. Because let's face it, life is precious and life is also short. So it's important that we're present in those times, good or bad. Happy or sad, it's important for us to be present and allow ourselves to feel. Because if you don't take that time now, it will rear its ugly head later on. So that is my note for today on Rainy Day Talks podcast on how to handle a death in your family, how to handle a crisis situation that might come up or a health issue or scare when you are operating and running your own business. I hope you find this helpful. And if you do, I'm going to put a little checklist down in our Facebook group. So if you are interested, that's the only place I'm going to be sharing this. And you can find that link in our show notes. If you do find this helpful and you think that it might help someone else out in business, please share it, and definitely let me know what you think. Thank you so much for your time today. A huge thank you to Mark at Mark Levander Productions for sponsoring Season 1 of Rainy Day Talks podcast. I'm very particular who we partner with, and Mark was a no-brainer. Mark does all of our video editing and puts all of the components and pieces together for our YouTube channel and podcast. If you are looking to publish your own YouTube series, podcast, or need photography work, please contact Mark through marklevanderproductions.com.